Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies, and in this video I'm going to do a review of the Tomatin Cask Strength Bourbon and Sherry Cask Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. So as you can see, I've done a little bit of damage on this bottle, gotten it down about 2/3 of the way. This is an absolutely superb whiskey with a high quality price ratio. But before I get into this, let me tell you a little bit about it. It's a non-age statement, aged in ex-bourbon and ex-Oroso sherry cask. It's non-chill filtered, has natural color, cask strength at 57.5% alcohol by volume, and sells for anywhere between $65 and $90. So I'm doing this review as part of a study on sherry and sherry cask finished whiskeys. On the section in this study on Oroso. The last video did a review of the Glendronach 18 Allardyce, which is 100% Oroso. This, as you saw in the notes, is ex-bourbon and Oroso sherry cask. So there's several different ways in which you can determine the profile of a whiskey in which you use in sherry cask. You could, as with the Allardyce 100% Oroso sherry, you could use first fill, second fill, or a combination thereof to sort of dial in where you want to go with the sherry cask, or in this case you could go ex-bourbon cask and sherry cask, and just depending on how much time you want to spend in the bourbon cask and then move it over to the sherry cask, or as with some other distilleries such as Avalar, you can make 100% bourbon, 100% sherry cask, and then blend them after they're finished. So on the nose, really nice. Now the sherry is not in your face, but it does make a presence, and it's really, I would say, intertwining with the bourbon cask. Really nice. I think bourbon cask, whether you like 100% new oak, virgin cask, or first fill, second fill, they can be great standalone whiskeys, but they also can play a great base and platform to build on with sherry cask or other kinds of wine casks. With this one, I'm getting a sweetness on the nose, sort of like an almond roca. So you think of a confectionery chocolate with almonds in it. That nutty character is coming from the Oroso sherry cask, from the oxidative aging of the sherry. Getting a little bit of a citrus note, like a chocolate covered oranges, but it's also got a lot of nice spice in there. I'm gonna go loads of vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, perhaps just a hint of white pepper, but a lot of vanilla. There's also, it reminds me of sort of like the interior part of a chocolate candy bar, in which you got nuts and nougat and all that on the inside. Just a hint, a bare hint of saltiness and some lighter caramels on the palate. Because it's cask strength, it has a lot of power. A lot of oomph. And yet, in keeping with the, I would say, typical Tomatin profile, it is, and still maintains some gentleness, some softness to it. It is creamy, oily, and velvety in texture. We might say smooth. Starts off sweet and finishes dry up front. Give that interior parts of a candy bar, sort of the chocolate and the nougat and the nuts. Get a little bit of that citrus about halfway back. Then the spice, vanilla, and more nuttiness. It goes dry actually on the finish. So it's got a nice development. It's got some good depth, some good breadth to it. I love the mouthfeel. I'm becoming more and more a bigger fan of Tomatin on that note alone, that I just like that mouthfeel. If you're a fan of Irish whiskeys, which typically maybe with some unmalted barley will give you that creamy texture to it, this has it. But this also has a nice sort of round mouthfeel to it. It's got some silkiness, it's got some weight to it, and I like that feel. On ice, it does really well. Add some water, it does really well. Opens up the nose just a little bit, but on ice, it shows really well because of that cask strength. So in warmer weather, hey, this is a good bottle to grab and pour yourself a dram on ice. What would I give it in terms of score? I'm gonna go a solid 90 points. It's got enough complexity and layers of development to get me to that 90 points. I would like a little bit more variation, perhaps some additional flavors, and then when I get there to go even higher than that. But one of the things that's really selling this, and of course it's going to depend on where you buy it, but I got this for $65, which I think in comparison to the prices of whiskeys these days, Scotch whiskeys these days with the tariffs and all that, this is absolutely fantastic. If you can get this for $75 and under, I would say it's an absolute buy. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. Alrighty, if you have not yet subscribed, but you like watching my videos, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I go live, and if you are one of my patrons, I want to thank you very much for supporting this channel. Until next time, cheers. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and check out these other whiskey videos.